Welcome to Real Talk, Lincoln Bishop University, the podcast where we have honest conversations about university life, student experiences, and what it's really like to study here at Lincoln Bishop. In this series, you'll hear directly from students about their journeys to university, why they chose Lincoln Bishop, and what they've learnt along the way. My name's Phoebe. I'm in my second year studying sociology.
And my name's Kelly, and I'm Phoebe's mum.
And today we're going to be discussing Lincoln Bishop University from the viewpoints of student and parent.
So shall we talk a little bit about what you're studying and what made you choose Lincoln Bishop University?
Yeah, so it's a bit of a funny story, really. I was at a UCAS fair, I didn't really know where I wanted to go, but I'd been looking a lot at Russell groups, and I walked past a table of ambassadors talking about mini golf. And they said that they'd had a really nice night out in Lincoln and done some mini golfing. And I thought, I'm a bit bored. I've seen everyone I want to go see. I'll go and talk to these guys. And they were so lovely that I ended up ordering a prospectus and having a look through. And I thought, it's not really like anything else that I'd had a look at. So it sort of grabbed my attention in that way, sort of as, at the time, a bit of a backup option for me, because I knew I wasn't the best at sitting exams. And then you came along with me to an open day.
Because it's sociology that you're doing currently.
Yeah.
But originally you were looking at potentially doing sociology and politics, weren't you? Which wasn't an offered course here.
It wasn't, no, which seemed a bit of a deal breaker at first. But once I started my course, I realised the politics and the numbers side wasn't my favourite bit, and it wasn't my strength either. So I actually ended up really enjoying the education side and the feeling side of sociology a lot more than the actual governmental side. So I think it was definitely the right call in the end.
Obviously, when we came to the open day here, we all kind of fell in love with it, and we really felt it'd be a good fit for you with it being a smaller scale university. And I remember this was very much in the front running, and you were happy to sort of compromise a bit on the course that you thought you had your heart set on for the environment here. I remember you discussing that it was going to be your number one that you applied for, until we then actually did go and look at a bigger city campus university, didn't we? That was a Russell group, and you sort of shifted a little bit. And I think as your parents, we also saw that the bigger city uni might have been a better option for you and given you more scope to build your confidence. It had the course you were originally looking at applying for. Do you want to talk a bit about what you felt like when you didn't get the sort of expected grades for that course?
I think it's really important to notice that Russell groups are so different, entirely different as well, because when you actually go and see them, I felt a bit awestruck. I was like, the buildings are so big, every place and every discipline has a completely different building for it, that it felt so oh my God. And then I sort of had my heart set, and when A-levels came in, it was tough. But I actually think that this is probably the best option for me. After the first couple of weeks I spent here, I realised as much as I like the hustle and bustle and going out and enjoying the big city, I also like coming back on campus and seeing all the green, relaxing, knowing that the library isn't going to be full, knowing that I can get a place in the student cafe and just relax a bit more.
Yeah.
I think it doesn't feel as overwhelming as those Russell groups initially did.
Yeah. I think we found from the open day as well that the staff here was so helpful, even in questions you'd not thought to ask. And I know you'd felt at one point we were laughing because you'd sort of made a comment about wanting to be at a Russell group to the lady in accommodations. And you were like, for want of a better term, a better university. And she was like, hold the phone. Here's all our awards. We're smashing it on student services. We're winning awards for our accommodation. We're going to support you with any of your neurodivergency and mental health issues. She was answering questions without us even asking them. And I remember you sort of froze and were like, oh my God, I've really said something awful here. And she couldn't have been nicer. And I think that's when, as a family, we sort of looked and went, oh, okay, this would actually be a really comforting and supportive environment. I think it was great to have that option of essentially, after you'd put down your applications, having the conditional offer from the Russell Group and the unconditional offer from Lincoln Bishop. It gave you that sense of, I know I'm going to be happier either. I think you achieved those fantastic results. And other than that initial, oh God, I haven't got what I wanted for the first choice uni, we all immediately were like, do you know what? That wasn't meant to be. That wasn't the place you were meant to end up. And within hours of being here, I don't even think I'd got all the way home from unpacking your stuff. And you were just like, this is where I'm supposed to be. Everyone's been so lovely. Like, I'm not sat crying that I'm in this huge accommodation block and my mum's gone home. And it just felt very much like, well, I mean, you've said it multiple times over the last 2 years that Lincoln is absolutely a home now. So,
Yeah. I think the accommodation here is amazing. And
mm,
as you said, Claire, who I think it was that we were speaking to, has been absolutely brilliant. I lived in Constance Stewart Hall and it was brilliant. It had such a brilliant community feel and the security were amazing.
yeah.
And the student support from the day to the twilight mental health support were absolutely amazing.
Yeah, I know you spoke to me a lot about the Twilight support that you got. I think within being in accommodation, do you think it's fair to say you've actually missed that in your second year, not being
100%.
here for
Definitely.
your accommodation at least?
It was definitely an experience that I won't forget. It felt like a proper community. We were all sort of in the same boat.
Yeah,
A lot of us cooked for each other on nights and made sure that the kitchens were tidy and it just worked. I
yeah,
don't even know how to explain it, but it just sort of worked. And I didn't think I'd like Connie's at the start, but I just loved it. With the
yeah,
first couple of hours, I'd already made a friend and we were going to pick some beers up from the corner shop because everything feels so close
yeah.
and it
And I
feels so
definitely felt
nice.
that when we came down and you actually cooked for us in the kitchens when we visited for your birthday and everyone sort of popping down to the kitchen, really respectful, like, oh, you've got visitors. And you're like, no, come in, say hello. And mum, this is so and so. And it was really nice to get that atmosphere of people coming in and out all the time and to know that you were safe and supported was the most important thing for me as a parent because you've always been an arm's reach away in the next room that if you woke up in the middle of the night or if you'd had a hard day and you were feeling particularly upset and you might give it the, well, I'm just going to bed, I'm fine, and I'd know you weren't. And I knew that everyone has those struggles. So if you messaged me late at night and you were at uni, I wouldn't be able to help. The fact that you'd say, oh, I'm speaking to the security guy or I've gone to Twilight support, like, I'm over it now. I feel fine. You know, sometimes I'd wake up in the morning to a message from you that I'd got really late at night and I think, oh my God, something's happened. And I'd message you back. You're like, oh, I'm fine now. Like the
Yeah.
guys have totally had my back. And I had a total breakdown about my course and blah and, you know, or the accommodation. And the guys have spoke me through it and said, you are not the first, not the last. So many people have these wobbles. You're away from home. And they were just really down to earth with you and really helpful, I think, weren't they, on that first year? Definitely.
100%. Yeah, I'd agree. I think it did really surprise me how much Lincoln felt like home from the beginning
Mm.
and how the course felt so much more free than sixth form. And I know it's the thing that people talk about a lot. It's like uni is so different. But teachers in colleges and stuff are always like, you won't get away with this at uni. And if I message my teacher and I'm saying I'm having a hard day, then we go and have a coffee and we talk
Yeah.
through it. It's okay to struggle at uni.
Yeah.
Everyone
Absolutely.
accepts it. Your teachers will support you. Your other students will support you, and the teachers are also invested. Like they want to see you succeed.
I think, in all fairness, I felt more comfortable taking a step back from my role because of how supported you've been here. I think it's a fair point to make that you are the first person within your family to go to university. So it's a huge thing for you, especially as an only child, to branch out and take that leap to go somewhere, especially when you have had issues with confidence, as most young people do have, and some not so young people also have issues with confidence. So to know that every time I spoke to you, I'm like, oh, this is something I can't help with. I don't understand. I don't have the answers for this. And I say, oh, can you speak to your lecturer? And you're like, actually, yes, I need to
Yeah.
phone my lecturer. Or I need to, you know, I'm going to be such a burden. They're going to think this, that, and the other. And then I speak to you an hour later and you're like, yeah, I just waited till the end of class. And they were like, come on, let's get a coffee. Let's talk about it properly. And I know again in various different stages of schooling and A levels, where you felt like your grades, or like you said, you wanted a course where you didn't have to take a lot of tests, because you can panic sometimes on tests and you don't put your best foot forward. And I think within the first couple of months, you'd done something, you'd been assessed, and you were like, I'm devastated. Everything's wrong. When you actually got those results back and it wasn't anywhere near what you thought.
Yeah.
And they took you to one side and you explained, this is how I feel if I don't get the best score in the class. Like, this is what I'm struggling with. And the way you explained to me that your lecturer had just immediately gone, okay, well, now I know that's how you feel. I'm not going to give you an assessment and walk away. Like, I'll make sure that whenever you have your results or something, we speak at the end of the class, or, I'll take the time that when I give it to you, I can talk through why your grade is what it is. And you just got so much positive reinforcement and feedback with the way you personally need to be spoken to get the best out of yourself, and just to stop those thoughts spiraling and emotions taking control. And I think that sort of definitely, as a parent, any worries that I had about you coming off to uni and being, potentially the fear was that you might feel alone or you might not feel confident enough to seek help. I think this is absolutely the right place where there is space for you to get the help.
Yeah.
And I think that's been great.
100%. I mean, I can talk for hours about the support systems here, especially the academic support. I do really struggle sometimes when I'm going through an assignment to fix spellings or grammatical errors, and especially getting used to referencing at university versus like the coursework at college was really difficult. And I had an assignment and it was the night before, as always. Everyone does it at least once or twice at uni. And I went to the academic support for a 15-minute drop-in. And I was like, here's everything wrong with it. Please help. And I ended up sitting with Jamie for an hour and he helped me fix it up. And then he said, now go home, fix up the rest, and I'll see you in the morning. And I ended up getting 2 hours out of a 15-minute drop-in.
Yeah.
They're so lovely. And then I would say the best piece of advice I've had here is when I do feel like I can be an overachiever sometimes with my grades and, worry about things. And I sat down once, like you said, with my lecturer, and she said, a 2-1 is a first with a social life. And I thought, okay. I'd been constantly trying to hit those top grades, and I think so often, instead of just sitting down and taking it calmly to get those top grades, I was stressing myself out so much that it was coming out like gobbledygook.
Yeah.
And I got these 2-1s back and I thought, God, it's the end of the world. But it really wasn't, because it just meant I had a social life.
Yeah.
I do really love it here. I do think the support's amazing.
Is there anything that surprised you about your university journey so far?
I think how easily I managed to keep vegetables on my plate. A lot of people talk a lot about, when you go off to uni, all you can afford is like super noodles and dehydrated stuff, like frozen chips. I think if you just put a bit of spinach on something, and everything can have veg in it. I think like university itself, the more you try and seek out about it, the easier it is when you first like step foot in to know what you're getting yourself into. But no one really tells you how expensive adulthood is.
That's so weird. I feel like I've been telling you that your whole life. But interesting point.
I feel like nobody ever listens to their parents.
There you go. That's more accurate.
But you always think, like they're just telling me it's going to be hard, but I've got it all figured out. I'm 18.
You've got to live the experience, haven't you? You learn from living it, absolutely. And I've seen that difference in you as well. And I have also wondered, how is she affording to make spinach ricotta pasta? Because it's uni. But I also know there's, I've been on the end of the phone when you're very angry because your fruit's gone out of date because you didn't realise you couldn't just buy it and a month later it'd still be there.
I just love a fruit bowl.
Yeah, well. Is there anything that you would say to the next generation of university students that are thinking of applying to Lincoln Bishop?
I think quite simply, don't overcomplicate it. I think, you can only do so much research. You can only prepare yourself so much. And I think the best things I've learned about university and how to deal with it, I've learned as I go along.
Yeah.
You have to throw yourself into the deep end of the pool to learn how to swim. And that's how I feel like university is. Nobody really knows what they're doing. Everyone just pretends that they do. And that's what makes it such a community.
Yeah.
You've just got to accept that you're all like, what, 18 to 21? Obviously, there's also the mature students as well. And I think none of us, not even the mature students, really know what we're doing and how we're doing it. We've just got to ask for help where we need it and learn to put one foot in front of the other. It's a learning experience that I don't think you get anywhere else, so not even just educationally.
Yeah.
So, are there any tips that you'd give to future parents that are supporting their children through university?
I would probably say, and I'm not saying this is something that I did particularly well, but not to be too fearful of university because I didn't have that experience myself. I didn't know what to expect. And as you know from spending your whole life being raised by me, I ask a lot of questions, I worry a lot. And I sort of, if it's something I don't know, I over complicate things, you might say, to try and find as much. I'm always trying to find a loophole of like why it wouldn't work or what's not right about it. And I think sometimes I potentially put that onto you. And I think maybe this would have been your first choice all along if I'd perhaps not have done that, or if you didn't feel like you needed to tick some of the boxes potentially. So I think the best thing a parent can do for their child that's looking to join a university is to take a step back, because if they do join the university, they're going to need to take a massive step forward on their own, and you can support them. But to me, you stepping off into university was your first real walk out into adult life on your own. And I think it took me a good 6 months to let you actually do that, because it felt like, well, you're my child. I still need to control. I still need to know what's happening, and don't fall out on moving day.
Yeah.
I think again, be honest about how you feel, because the day we moved you in, I think we completely rubbed each other up the wrong way, very nearly stormed off in different directions, and at the end of it we're like, I'm scared to death that you're going off to uni on your own. And I feel like, let me tell you which drawer to put your cutlery in. I know best. I know where the stuff should go that makes the most sense. I can play Tetris with your plates and bowls. And you were like, just leave me alone.
Yeah.
I'm an adult now. And when we actually sat back and went, oh my God, I'm just frightened. Well, I'm frightened as well, but I'm excited. And I need to. If I open this cupboard door tomorrow and every single plate falls on the floor and smashes, that's on me, Mum. It's not on you anymore. Like, I need to do that on my own. And yeah, I think we sort of had a hug and went, oh, do you think we're being horrible to each other? So it's not quite as sad. And we had a laugh, and we, spoke then when I was driving home. But if you can avoid all that by just being cool in the first place and letting your child grow up, it's you will find out one day that's a lot harder than it sounds.
Yeah.
To just be like, okay, I've done 18 years of this and now I have to not completely back off. I think it's also important to be at the end of the phone. I think it's important to come and visit as regularly. We do our best. Between us, I think you come home as often as you can, and I come and visit you as often as I can. I know all the family members have popped down to see where you live in and, have a nosy around the university. And, Lincoln as a place is just absolutely gorgeous. So I think, just be as supportive as you can without remaining in that sort of, I say control, but as a parent, I think you are in control for so long that relinquishing a bit of control to let your child grow is difficult but necessary. And the quicker you do it, the better your relationship will be.
You just got to rip the bandage off.
Yeah, that's it.
100%. Thanks for listening to Real Talk Lincoln Bishop University. If you're thinking about university and whether Lincoln Bishop could be the right fit for you, We hope this episode helped, and you can always reach out to a member of our inquiries team in the information in our bio.